Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
Welcome to the show. This is Wrestleview Post Raw number 84. Wow, we're getting close. Even though technically, I think it's 85 technically, but, you know, we're not counting that
Lost episode.
That lost episode forever and ever. Yes, we are excited to be with you tonight. As you can see, I created a new graphic for the show, at least, so we have a little, you know, something new.
Something new.
Trying to fix up the video stream settings too, so it might be a little lag, might not be, but I'm getting a new computer pretty soon anyway, so that should correct everything. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see. Well, we have a Raw to talk about tonight. We sure do. It was something. It was something.
I mean, I'm not going to say it was the worst Raw.
No. Actually, I thought there were some pretty good aspects of Raw. I didn't hate the show.
No, I didn't either.
You know, we got Backlash coming up this Sunday, so of course there's a lot. There's a lot of.
I still can't believe it now. Because this is how my mind goes now. Normally, because you know how In Your House was last weekend, yeah. I can't remember.
Or it's yesterday.
Yes,
it was yesterday.
Yes. Normally, when we have like an NXT show, do we have it the same weekend, or is it usually different weekends? I can't remember because it's been so long.
Usually what the NXT shows do is they're like back to back from each other. So it's like, you know, NXT would be on Saturday and the pay-per-view on Sunday.
So they did do it differently this go around.
This time they did like a standalone show. They haven't done a takeover since February.
Right.
Because of the lost WrestleMania, there's nothing going on there. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. Because I did think it was a little like weird that there was that show and this one, but I guess too because of the circumstances, they, you know, this weekend look forward to that show, and then this weekend look forward to Backlash. So I mean, and you know, for a quarantined go home show, it wasn't a terrible show.
No, it wasn't horrible.
No,
it wasn't horrible. I mean, I know right now on Twitter it's got like last time I checked, it had like a thumbs down on it, and I will definitely look that up, making sure that I'm still on the right track here. Probably Daniel Schell giving it like 69 thumbs down. We'll see. But yeah, like so it's not like I know. I don't know. I think it's just like that third hour really was kind of boring.
Yeah, of course.
It did drag a little bit, and you know, I mean, I'm sure that the decathlon with the Viking Raiders and Street Profits wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I kind of liked it.
Shame because that was awesome.
I kind of liked it. Anyway. So we'll talk about that, but before we do all that, let's say hello to everybody in our chat room with us here tonight. Let's say hello to Kit Dyson. Hi, Tedesco family. Andrew Elder, our buddy in the chat room.
Hello.
Hi, Mike and Victoria. Quentin Walters. Hello, Los Tedescos.
Hello.
I like it. Billy Hefner, Uncle Billy, says hey. Mashoon Walls. Hello, Tedescos. Quentin's asking how's little Princess T.
She's good.
She's doing great.
Good. She's teething, but she's good.
She's teething quite a bit. Yeah, we have 62% thumbs down on the show right now.
Oh, come on, everyone.
Come on. At least if you're going to give it a thumbs down, make sure it gets to 69.
Exactly.
Come on now.
Come on.
Let's not get weird here. Goosey's in the chat room, I think. He goes, do they have to talk Raw? Can we be like, you know, talk about the Tiddlywinks World Championship or something? Chris Elgie in the chat room. Hello, Chris. How are you? And if I missed you so far, just say hello. We will make sure to say hello back. But yeah, we're ready to, I guess, start talking Raw. Do you want to do that?
I mean, I do because I
is
like
Goosey right? Should we just like, meh?
I mean,
86 the talk.
I mean, I like talking to everybody. I don't know if I like talking about Raw anymore, but
I know. It like I was watching the show tonight, and I was like, what is there to even say? I mean, you know, like there's some good stuff. There definitely was some good stuff. You know, especially the Edge and Christian thing, I thought was awesome. And then there's some stuff that dragged. Overall, I thought it was a success. We'll talk about it. Maybe by the end of it, usually what happens is we'll talk about it, and then at the end,
sometimes people change their minds.
I don't like this no more.
It's either one or two things. I usually wind up liking it, or I don't like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I stick to what I thought initially, and then sometimes I do. I'm like, oh, yeah, it wasn't terrible.
Very, very true. Very true. So we'll see. How's the video looking? I don't know if the video is looking any good here. Is it choppy? How's it looking? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't even know if there's anything I can do to fix it. You know, at this point, since we are live.
We're live, pal.
We're live, pal. We are live. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I hope it's all right. Let me try doing that.
Why, do we have complaints?
No. I'm literally just asking.
Are you just like, or are you just being?
Just me being.
You're just being a perfectionist right now.
Curious and a perfectionist.
Got it.
We'll see. I know that the frame rate's not trend. Corey Howell in the chat room tonight.
Hello,
Queen Victoria.
Hello,
Billy. Queen Victoria, Baby Lily, and as always, the best recapper ever. I'll catch post raw tomorrow. Got to work in the morning. Hope you guys have an awesome night and great podcast. Love the Yankees hat. Thank you. I love this hat too. Quentin Walters. Good night. Good luck. Good night. That's the Raw recap. Yep. Pretty much.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right. So. The one thing I did not like was the way the show kicked off, as usual.
Oh, God.
It's like, are we done with this? Like,
no,
really?
I don't think they get it. I mean, I think, or maybe they're just revolting at this point. So anything we tell them, like, don't open up with a promo, like, and they just open up with a promo. I think that's it. I think they don't care. I really do. I think anything that we say on the post-Raw show about not opening up the show with any sort of promo, they're like, we're going to open up a promo just to piss off those Tedescos.
Yeah, that's it.
I do. I think we're under their...
and they even said, we're going to open up the show with Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. We're going to have some wrestling. And then it's like, of course, Asuka gets in the ring. For no reason whatsoever, Sasha Banks and Bayley. Asuka has nothing to do with the tag team titles right now. Of course, let's send out the women's tag team champions.
Why not?
And then it sends out the Iconics. Andrew says I have a fuzzy screen. Well, that's because I'm using my computer's webcam, and this webcam just sucks. But like, I'm talking like, is the feed like glitchy? Is it like looking okay? I'm hoping it's good. Quentin says the video's good, so I'll go with that.
You'll just go with.
I'm pretty happy with that. Like the OBS, of course, says encoding overload. Consider turning down the video settings.
Gosh.
We'll see. Anyway, this all leads to, like, for whatever reason, Charlotte Flair is there. She comes out and helps Asuka, who's supposed to be her opponent, and they wind up as tag team partners in this triple threat match with Bayley and Banks versus the Iconics versus Flair and Asuka. Flair and Asuka are going at it the entire time, and they wind up beating the women's tag team champions and the challengers for the tag team titles on Sunday.
Question.
What's the point of this?
Yeah, so question for you. You said something during the match or after the match rather, about how they didn't want Sasha and Bayley really shown because they were defeated?
Yes. So they like at the end of it, they like disappeared.
Yeah, they did.
You know, they always do that with like people like that are in the match that they don't want to like be seen losing.
Right.
They had them disappear.
Okay.
So Banks and Bayley were just like outside the ring, kind of like just in limbo.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think to your point, this was pointless. It really did not need to happen.
Right.
Because I remember earlier in the night. I mean, we did get a match between Charlotte and Asuka, but I remember like when this was going on, you're like, I could have done without. Sasha Banks and Bayley being there in the Iconics for sure. And I agree with you. I really genuinely don't know why this match happened at all. There was no talk of any sort of like tag team thing or anything to that effect. And it just was kind of silly. It really was. And I don't know. And I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are about the Iconics with like putting them on SmackDown or Raw. It's just... There's so much that they have so much personality, and I personally do like them as a tag team. I like how they mesh well together.
The Iconics?
I just like them. Like I like their personalities.
Personality-wise,
their characters they're funny, like, and their accents are like adorable. You know what I mean? But in the ring itself, though, they're just being way overexposed. I feel like they should just at this point sort of not be utilized in that aspect. I think they should just like kind of instigate and maybe get involved with matches like here and there, or like interfere or like attack, but I don't think they should be showcased as long as they have been as of late within the ring, because they have a lot of work that they need to do. Especially Billie Kay. Like, she's really...
Billie Kay is absolute garbage in the ring. And like, I'm sure she's a nice person. This is not a knock on her personally, but like, as a performer, she's terrible.
She's just...
absolutely terrible.
And,
she like harkens back to the days of like Kelly and, that dearth of women that came through that, Johnny Laurinaitis basically picked them out of a catalog. and said, "Oh, they're going to be a wrestler."
Yeah.
That's how they got Alicia Fox. He was looking through a fitness catalog, and there was Alicia Fox, and called her in.
That is just sad.
And she became a wrestler. That's how it happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, that was definitely the formula for picking a lot of the women.
Now,
back
Billie
then.
Kay has a ton of more personality than almost any of those women.
Oh,
did.
absolutely, personality. They're great.
That would have taken her far, like in the cartoon character age of like the early 1990s, the 80s, 90s. Even though they didn't do anything with women back then, they had Alundra Blaze, and that was it. And they were trying to make it like a serious title, and it really wasn't. But she's just atrocious. Everything she does is horrible. There's no redeeming qualities here. Everything's in slow motion, and Peyton Royce stinks too. But compared to Billie Kay, she's like head and shoulders above her.
Well, I think they're overexposed. I do.
Well, they're horrible.
I think
they're just bad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But they're trying to put them in a position where they're on TV every week, and it's just not working out. And I feel like their characters at the moment, they should really just work on their craft in wrestling and do little, like I said before, little interferences and like just kind of annoy like the women throughout the week. You know what I mean? You can utilize them for sure, but not to that effect where they're having full on matches. And I hate to say it, especially if you're going to have them have a match, you want them with people who are going to, who are obviously good in the ring so they can help them out, but they're like really, really, really having to help them out a lot. Yeah. And it shows because you have like Charlotte Flair and Asuka in the ring, and they're like leaps and bounds above these women.
Oh, well, that's because they're Charlotte Flair and Asuka.
Right, but should you have the Iconics with them in a match? Not even for a second.
I mean, there's only so much that Charlotte Flair and Asuka can do.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's the point I'm trying to make.
They're that bad.
They can't even hold them together. Like, I even remember back when AJ Lee had a match with, like, Eva Marie at the time. It was like, okay, poor AJ having to, like, really, really carry this girl in the ring.
Right.
It's terrible. You can't have that. It's too much of a gap in between their skills.
Oh, yeah. And it's just like... It doesn't really say much about their developmental system if, like, they came through and they get put up to the main roster and they can't even perform.
I think
it's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
And like everybody that comes out of the Performance Center that like is really good had already worked for years, like on independents and stuff like that. Like, what is the Performance Center actually teaching these people?
Well, I don't know if it's as much.
Kind of what I'm curious about.
Well, I think they are teaching them, but I think there's certain people.
I think they're teaching them all the wrong stuff. I think they're teaching them all to have the same style. Everybody does the same moves. There's like, like back at like when the territories will never come back. The best they can do is like AEW and Ring of Honor. Those are like going to be like territories and promotions and
in
stuff
their
like
own
that.
Right, yeah,
in their own right. But like back in the day, it would be like, everybody, you work in this territory. Then when you're done in that territory after a few months, you go to this territory and that territory. And every time you go to that territory, you learn something new. Something, because every time you go in, you have to introduce yourself to that audience and learn how to get over there. You go to Mexico, you go to Japan, you go to all these different places. And then when they finally make it to like WWF at the time, they were well-rounded performers that could do a lot of stuff. Now everybody just, you learn in one place and then you come in, everybody has the same, you learn from a few coaches, you're going to be learning their style.
See,
not like the style like that, a different style that could connect. Like, I almost feel like you watch one match, you've seen them all. Really. It's because everybody does the same stuff. And that's why it's like when the legends come back and they have a match with like, Undertaker, or they have like, even though Undertaker's like completely like just an embarrassment at this point. And it's sad to say, but it's true.
Well, he even said it. So it's kind of like,
he even says it on the last ride that he's not what he used to be at all. Not even close. And I haven't really seen him be even approaching, what he was like, in 2015, he kind of had a resurgence, but I haven't seen him approach that since. They get excited when even like a guy like Goldberg comes back because Goldberg has his own style. Brock Lesnar has his own style.
Can I just say I agree with you and I disagree with you.
Okay.
So I do agree with you in the sense of, as far as the territories, they definitely need to expand upon styles and their own move set and everything. That I do agree with you upon. I don't know if it's necessarily something like the Iconics' fault though, that they don't do as well as they do, because I think there's certain individuals they just push through quickly through developmental. I think there's certain people who go through developmental and are like they really take their time with them, and then when they come up to the main roster, they are pretty successful, right?
Right.
But then there's other individuals like the Iconics where they just push them through for whatever reason, and they're not good because they got pushed through. Like they just went through X, Y, Z. They went through ABC, but they didn't go through the whole alphabet. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain there's certain thing where you have to go through. Like you have to be able to go through the whole process. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. There's certain people who are ready, or like much more ready than others, but then there are other individuals who are not nearly as ready.
Yeah, I agree with. That I definitely agree with.
Bubba's up, so if you don't mind.
All right, I'll take over for a little bit. So anyway, yeah, it's just it's not a good look for them. The Iconics are like the worst thing to ever come out of the developmental system that they've had in quite some time. All right, moving on to the rest of this show. What comes after that? I have to go to my notes and look over here. Oh, yeah, so we got that tag match. Asuka and Charlotte Flair win. Of course, they beat the champions and the challengers for the titles, which really does a lot for those. I just love, like, you win a title. The very first thing you do, lose. How does that make sense? How does that make sense at all? All right. So Seth Rollins makes his way out to commentary. First of all, I want to say hello to Jerome Wyland in the chat room tonight. Jerome's in the chat room. Jamel, I think I missed him. I think he might be gone already, but I want to say hello to Jamel anyway. Hello, Jamel. And yeah, there's actually good little conversation going on about the territories in here. And that's the thing. Andrew Elder's right. I do miss the territories for being able to stop things from getting stale. People and gimmicks getting stale got sent somewhere else. Very true. And that almost like begs the question, like, why can't we like cycle people, on the roster through the years, where it's like, okay, we're gonna, like, obviously your champions have to be the consistent, the consistent points, and you want to put over the titles, so you want to have your champions on like all the shows. But like, if Bobby Lashley loses to Drew McIntyre this Sunday at Backlash, maybe take Bobby Lashley off the show for like a month or two, or you have him come back and have his return match, and then after he loses that, move him off the rosters, keep him off, have him, like if they were doing live events, have them on live events, but don't have them on TV. Just cycle these people through. That's kind of the problem with like having like so much content, and what Victoria was talking about before, being overexposed because they have so much content that they have to fill. It's tricky to cycle people in and out because you have so much stuff going on. But I think that they have to figure out a way to kind of keep people from getting stale and maybe treat them like Andrew was just saying, like in the territories. So we'll see. Anyway, we're here at this interview with Rey Mysterio, and it's like the weirdest thing ever. Like, number one, I can't believe Rey Mysterio is such a good promo, and I don't know if that's like a testament to how much he's improved through the years, or just how awful most of the promos are in WWE right now, that like Mysterio is considered like one of the great promos that they have going. But anyway, I think it's a mixture of both. I think he has improved greatly, but I also think that promos are just really bad. So when you hear like one that's close, it stands out as like, hey, that works for me. I kind of like that. He says his eye is getting better, but of course I could get an infection or more damage to my cornea, and then I'll be screwed. It's like, okay, all right, that's something. Seth Rollins is on commentary, and he's talking about something like, I kind of like I don't get what he's saying. He kind of like rambles a little bit on the commentary now, or just even on all of his interviews and promos. I know Victoria kind of likes it. I don't, but when she gets back, I will definitely quiz her to see what the heck he said, and if she understood anything that he said. I don't think she will. And he says that he wants to invite Mysterio and Dominic to Raw next week, so he can explain to Mysterio and give him respect and all that stuff before he retires. And Mysterio calls him a son of a bitch, and that's kind of how it goes. And then all of a sudden, it was like one of the best. This is actually one of the best visuals I've seen on wrestling this year. Other than like the Keith Lee pouncing Adam Cole into the audience is still like one of my favorite gifs that are going right now. But this one is pretty damn good too. Aleister Black just diving over the table out of nowhere and attacking Rollins, and we go to commercial. Come back from commercials. Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo versus Murphy and Austin Theory. This is a quick tag match, but it was crisp. It was really good. I just like all four of the guys in the ring. Aleister Black's really good, obviously. Humberto Carrillo, lot of work to do character-wise, but he's pretty darn good in the ring. It's just, trying to get him to connect. I think there's something about his face. He has too much of a baby face. It's like I can't take him seriously as like, an adult wrestler. He looks like a child still. And that's good for him, It's like, I wish I could still get carded. That'd be great. I wish I could go somewhere to get carded. How about that? There's still nothing open around here. Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo win, so Humberto Carrillo finally gets a victory. And then all of a sudden, Seth Rollins comes out wearing Rey Mysterio's mask. They attack Austin Theory, and Murphy attack Carrillo and Black. Seth Rollins joins in and gives them... puts them down, has Murphy and Theory put them down, and then all of a sudden we get the stomp, and they're out of there. I was expecting Seth Rollins versus Aleister Black to be announced for Backlash, but they didn't do that. So, whatever. Looking at the chat room. Gabby's in the chat room. Gabby, our sometimes co-host of Wrestleview News, and we had a new Wrestleview News come out this weekend, by the way, so if you have not seen it yet, please check it out. I thought it was a really good show. But of course, with everything going on, there's, tons of news to digest, just another news show. But this one's a little more upbeat and uplifting, even though there is some good news coming out lately. Interesting news, at least. The Peep Show with a special guest Edge. So we finally have, Goosey says Cuomo is too busy killing old people. I don't live in New York, but that's... I think at this point, I think I'm ready for the quarantine to come to an end. It's enough. It's enough, The Peep Show with special guest Edge. Edge and Christian are reunited. And this was really good. Christian, it took a turn that I just did not expect at all to take. Christian healed on Edge for like the first 3/4 of this thing, saying that, Edge, I don't think you could pull the greatest wrestling match off in your prime, let alone after being off for all this time. You haven't had a real match in a long, long time. And I was like, where is this going? I was like, in my head, like a bunch of thoughts were like flashing in my head, like, oh God, Christian's cleared to compete. He went, because Christian had to retire because of a bunch of concussions. I was like, oh, maybe he got the Daniel Bryan treatment and, found a doctor that cleared him, and they finally did a couple tests and he's good to go. I really thought, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be Edge and Christian at SummerSlam or something like that. Instead, Christian's just trying to pump him up. And Christian says, all you're doing is making excuses. Where's your belief? Where's your belief in yourself? There was someone who used to believe in Edge more than anyone, and that was your mother. And of course, Edge's mother died a year or two ago. He says if Edge doesn't think she'll be sitting there for this big match, she will be. Edge looks super emotional, so it's like, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, I usually don't like pulling in dead relatives into a storyline, but this one was at least a little more tastefully done than they normally do. Although if Edge's mother was a superstar or a former women's champion, I'm sure they would have dragged that in there and just destroyed it, of course, because that's just what they do. Christian says, that look in his eyes, that's what I'm looking for. We believe in you. We saw something at WrestleMania when you locked on that submission. You put Orton down. You have the anti-venom. And I was like, oh God, I was getting flashbacks to that Roman Reigns promo. You may be the Viper, but I got the antidote. It's like, oh God, not that again, please. But I'll let it slide because it was only a little line. It wasn't like the finisher of the thing. Orton appears on the screen and says, listening to them is making him sick. At Backlash this Sunday, he is going to embarrass Edge and send him home a broken man to Beth, Ruby, and Lyric. This Sunday, the redemption of Edge is over. Edge simply says, no, it's not, and walks off. Of course, it's kind of funny that they're cutting this promo after they taped the match. So the match for Backlash was taped yesterday before NXT TakeOver. So all those people that were in the crowd at TakeOver last night got called. They had to be at the Performance Center at 8:30 in the morning to stand there and cheer for the greatest wrestling match of all time, which I guess it's not a, if I had to get up at 8:30 in the morning to watch the greatest wrestling match of all time, I guess I would do it. But the chances of them actually having seen the greatest wrestling match of all time are pretty slim. Pretty slim. Even Edge said, like, I don't get, like, why they promoted it as this. But they recorded it yesterday because, number one, because they can. Like, this whole entire pandemic thing has given them a lot of opportunities to tape things in advance, control the content. You don't have to just, like, send them out there and hope everything goes well and hope for the crowd to come through. They have their own crowd there, so they can tell them what to do. But even, like, tonight, like, this crowd, this Performance Center crowd, they seem, like, really tired. And even when they were supposed to be making noise, they weren't. And for God's sake, like, how awful, I just want to put this to the chat room, how awful is it to listen to the Performance Center crowd, like, chant, "This is awesome," or "You still got it," or a bunch of other things. It's like, that's a WWE controlled audience. It's like, oh God, it's so cringy. It's so cringy. But at the same time, I don't know if they're like, kind of just like making fun of the marquee crowd, the marquee mark crowds that are coming to the shows and you chanting "You still got it" when some people never lost it just because they're old. "You still got it." It's like, I don't know, but it's kind of lame to me. So they taped it on Sunday, and now they're gonna put it through an extensive editing process to try to get as much out of it as they possibly can. So we'll see if that results in the greatest wrestling match of all time. I have a feeling when I sit down to recap Backlash this Sunday, and when I get on Wrestleview Live with Mr. Doug Lackey after the show, I doubt we'll be talking about the greatest wrestling match of all time. I think we'll be talking about a very, very good wrestling match. Maybe even a great wrestling match. But the greatest? Probably not. So anyway. The Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better Decathlon. Feature it with Viking Raiders and the Street Profits, featuring 10 contests. Yeah, Andrew Elder, the awesome chants were so awful. I have to agree. Sweet Lou's in the chat room tonight. All right. Jerome Weiland, I enjoyed the AWA, never did see Portland. I did see Pacific Northwest Wrestling. I went to a show at Seaside, Oregon, and saw their last show, that I think was in 2000. That's pretty cool. Andrew, the only matches that got taped at Backlash were Edge and Orton. Any website that's reporting otherwise is incorrect. Bobby Lashley and McIntyre was not taped. None of the other matches were taped. They are going to do those live. So those as far as I know, those will be done live on Sunday, other than the greatest wrestling match of all time. That they need to pull some smoke and mirrors out to make it so. We'll see if it actually happens. So the Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better Decathlon. The Street Profits and Viking Raiders have been going at it for the past couple weeks. Andrew Elder, they never promote the worst match ever. That's okay. Just send the Iconics out there and have them face each other. Then they won't need to promote it. It'll just be understood. So this decathlon featured a 1,600 meter dash, archery, flip cup, sword fighting, hurdles, stick fighting, where the loser has to take a bath in goat milk, a dance-off, shot put, turkey leg eating contest, a pole vault. That is, I gotta tell you, I didn't hate this. I thought most of this stuff was actually pretty funny. Street Profits and Viking Raiders, it's I didn't like the whole comedy thing with the Viking Raiders at the start of this. And I kind of get why they do these things with these tag teams that are super serious, and they come in as like they're just a solid tag team that's like super killer. I get why they do this stuff. WWE wants to make them kind of show a different side of themselves and become more well-rounded entertainers than wrestlers. They're not a wrestling company; they're an entertainment company. I think we just kind of need to just understand that. But for the life of me, I'll never understand why they can't open a wrestling show with a wrestling match. I'd rather, as an audience member, somebody tuning in, I'd rather watch, action just to start off. Even if you're just like kind of like a sports fan clicking through the channels, you want to just see action when you watch one of these shows rather than long talking segments. And I don't know. I think if you just try it, you probably have a better result. Hayden Barker in the chat room tonight, and Victoria is back.
Hello. You're talking about the decathlon tonight?
I was, yes.
I honestly, okay, here's my whole thing on this stuff with the comedy in WWE. I think people, they really don't take themselves, they take themselves too seriously, you know, because even when the 24/7 championship first came around and it was in its peak with Drake Maverick and R-Truth, it was like prime time comedy, like really, really funny stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you have to take that for like what it is, you know? And I think right now, this, as long as it doesn't hit its shelf life, like it's
getting close.
It's getting close. Well,
this should be the blow off to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because now, like the Street Profits and Viking Raiders are friends.
Right, exactly.
So it's like,
no, absolutely. But I think you have to just kind of like appreciate those moments where something's funny. Like I think some people are like, "Oh, it's so stupid." Like even when like 24/7 champ, yeah, obviously it evolved into something a lot more stupid eventually. But if as long as it like, you know, hits its peak and then it stops, like I enjoy stuff like this. So I mean, who doesn't want to laugh once in a while? Like seriously. And I think like
it's good to laugh.
it's good to laugh.
Yeah.
But I honestly, like I said, I enjoy this thoroughly. Like and I think it is hilarious how like the Viking Raiders show this comedic side to them. You don't think like at all. I mean, yeah, obviously the Street Profits they were the ones to be obviously the more hilarious at the end of the day, but the Viking Raiders really like held their own in all this too.
Yeah, they did a really nice job. They really did.
And it was just so funny, like the back and forth, and with some of the, you know, the events that took place, how the Viking Raiders, you thought they were going to win, but then the Street Profits won, and vice versa.
Yeah,
you know, there were certain things that you thought like, oh well, that
was like
that
the Street Profits took the edge, and then all of a sudden Ivar does like the perfect pole vault of the most perfect pole vault of all time. It was pretty funny. It actually kind of reminded me. I don't know if anybody knows this movie or remembers it, but Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes.
When he does the triple Lindy off the diving board and sinks it as like a really old man. It kind of that Ivar going over the pole kind of reminded me of that. I was like, oh my god, that's actually pretty funny. So yeah, there's that. I guess, you know, it is kind of hitting its shelf life, but you know, I don't want the Viking Raiders to be a complete comedy tag team.
No way.
But I would. You know, I don't mind.
Can you just enjoy something for the time being, though? Again, I think people take themselves way too seriously, and they're like, "Oh, I can't enjoy. I must not laugh. This is wrestling is serious.
Wrestling is serious. It's actually real. It's not. It's not real. They get injured. Yes, they get injured. The injuries are real, but it's all agreed on beforehand. And
what? It's planned out?
No way! Are you gonna be kidding me?
Oh, come on, Mike and Victoria.
Oh. No. Anyway, we got a number one contenders triple threat match with Andrade, Angel Garza, and Kevin Owens. For the winner faces Apollo Crews at Backlash. When I saw this, when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews again. Now we're gonna get an actual finish to this match. No, actually, Andrade wins this match. Andrade and Angel Garza, they get into a fight at the beginning of the match, knock over Zelina Vega, who is not pleased after the match. But I think Andrade and Apollo Crews could actually be a pretty darn good match. It might if they're actually allowed to go out there and have a good match, it might even be better than Edge and Orton. It's what it's coming down to.
I'm sorry. Did you talk about them already?
I did. You want to go? Greatest wrestling match ever. Are
no.
You going to see it on Sunday?
No. I think you're still going to see a really good match. I don't think it's going to be the greatest match of all time.
We probably will see one of the worst matches of the year with the Iconics in that triple threat match. So something best or worse, some kind of like, you know, peak is going to be hit in wrestling on Sunday. I don't know if it's going to be the best.
I just don't think it's going. I genuinely don't believe that. I'm sorry. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Great, awesome. But I just don't think so. And again, it's nothing against Edge or Randy Orton at all. They're both very, very good. Greatest wrestling match of all time during these circumstances. No.
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 No. Yeah, it not happening. Not happening at all.
Flat, no.
No! Flat, no! As Eva Marie's father, Barry, said about... What was her boyfriend's name or husband's name? Whatever that
Jonathan.
Was? Jonathan. That was when Total Divas was watchable. Or I was, or when you were forcing me to watch it. Anyway.
Whoa.
Whoa. Anyway. So the triple threat match was pretty good. Again, it was a nice surprise with Andrade winning over Kevin Owens. So there's that. Charlotte Flair backstage being interviewed by Sarah Schreiber. At least that's who I think it is. Like, I love how they hire all these like new, interview people backstage, and they don't tell you their names, so they're just faceless.
You just have to know who they are.
It's like so dumb. It's like UFC whenever they do a event, it's like you introduce the referee, so who has the match. Like I don't know why like the referees can't have names. I don't know why the interviewers can't have names. It's like this show's driven by characters. It's not like an interviewer is gonna have such a big character that they take over an entire segment, unless they're Mean Gene Okerlund, who would frequently do that. He would frequently destroy people doing interviews frequently.
Love that.
But it was always good. It was always sometimes it actually needed it really, really bad. Kurt Angle on the show says that he's picking Edge to win the greatest wrestling match of all time. VIP Lounge with MVP. Drew McIntyre comes out instead. He's supposed to be interviewing Bobby Lashley. Drew McIntyre comes out. Bobby Lashley never actually gets interviewed. And they said, we're going to find out what happened after Raw went off the air last week. And it's like, Drew McIntyre's like, yeah, my neck hurts. Anyway, MVP, you know a lot about taking the Claymore kick, and then Bobby Lashley comes in. All of a sudden, the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits come out, so there's that. We actually get a pretty good match with MVP and Bobby Lashley versus the Viking Raiders. It goes long, a little too long, to be honest with you. I thought that as soon as Bobby Lashley got tagged in, he should have just ran wild on both Eric and Ivar and just beat him. It's like...
You think that quickly?
It wouldn't look good for the Viking Raiders for that to happen to them, but geez, he's challenging for the WWE title on Sunday. Viking Raiders aren't on the show. They've been doing these goofy decathlon segments for weeks, so they're just a comedy team right now. They're just a comedy team. It wouldn't kill them to take an L here pretty quickly to Bobby Lashley and his full Nelson.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate though now for you.
Okay.
But if Viking Raiders and the Street Profits now they have a shelf life with this, right? Wouldn't you want to quickly start turning the tables back on them where they could withstand longer matches again?
Yeah, sure, but you can't do it all in the same show. You can't have them be a comedy and then at the end of the show be like, super serious. It's like you got to build back up to it now. Remind everybody that they're killers, and it's just you just don't do switch from one to the other. So
and because
quickly.
Lashley's going for the title, that's even more so. You're
right,
saying.
right. He's going for the title against Drew McIntyre, who they're booking absolutely wonderfully.
Yeah,
right. He's the ultimate guy right now, right? He's just an absolute killer. Kicks out of every single move at one. Yeah. They've booked him really, really well. They've done a great job doing that. So. Have Bobby Lashley run wild on the Viking Raiders and beat them. I don't think.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying I
just don't think him taking a ton of offense is necessary. You know what I mean?
I personally, here's my whole thing with Bobby Lashley. Before the whole Lana segment, storyline rather.
Right.
I felt like he really did have major potential to be up in that. I always thought that's where he was kind of heading, was in that title picture. You know what I mean? And as far as he at least should be a thought, Right. And then he got carried into this storyline with Lana. Now he's kind of on the upswing again with MVP and going into more that stable type thing. I think you should always have booked Bobby Lashley, not long matches. I think it always should have been a dominant type situation.
I've been saying that forever.
I know you have. I agree.
This is the Bobby Lashley that I've been dying to see.
I agree with you. I don't think he's ever should have been booked in a long match at all. Very, very rarely he should be booked in a longer match.
Should have been killing people, just crushing them.
And even if he's in a match with somebody who's comparable, right? It should go very fast. It should just be kind of like a beatdown between both of them, and then that's it. Like whoever wins at the end of the day, or it's DQ or whatever. But I don't think he should be having so much where anybody's even getting a little bit over on him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, on to the main event. Asuka, Charlotte Flair. Long match. Before the match even began, Bayley and Sasha Banks made their way to ringside to just guarantee that the finish was going to be absolute crap. Because it's like, we're not going to have a clean finish here. And, of course, Nia Jax is lurking in the shadows as well. So, there's always that factor. The Iconics appeared halfway through. They attacked Bayley and Banks, and of course they hit them with the most slow-motion magic killer. So I guess now that Anderson and Gallows are gone, they stole their tag team finisher and just decided, we're going to do it in the worst possible way that we can. That is within our talents to just destroy it. Every time they hit the damn magic killer, it's slow motion. It looks like garbage. They can't even time anything properly. They're horrible. Anyway, they get ejected from ringside. So Charlotte Flair and Asuka, in the midst of all this, were having a great match. Of course, for no reason, Nia Jax comes out, distracts. Asuka knocks her off the apron. Lana. Charlotte Flair hits her with a big boot and pins her, and that's the end of Asuka. Asuka has yet to defeat Charlotte Flair, so obviously that is going to be your big match, maybe at SummerSlam. I could just imagine Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Nia Jax attacks Asuka after the match. I'm really hoping that I'm calling it right now, it right here. Asuka is beating Nia Jax, and I think Nia Jax has to be taken off the television for a little while.
Again?
I think so.
I mean, this time it will just be because, not because of injury purposes, but I don't think they're going to do that. I don't.
I think she's injured too many people, and I think she needs to be taken off of television for a little while, just as a statement. In fact, I honestly thought that with Charlotte Flair beating Asuka tonight, that they might switch to Asuka and Charlotte Flair, make it a triple threat match. Because now that Charlotte Flair is not the NXT Women's Champion anymore,
right?
You can do a lot more with her on the brand. It would make sense to me. It's almost like, okay, well, Charlotte Flair's gonna be in the match, and that's who's gonna be doing the brunt of the thing, or they have a storyline injury with Nia Jax backstage, and they do that instead.
Again, I agree with you 100%. Not happening though. It's just not. She's not going to be off television. I would be very, very surprised if they actually did make a statement like that and had her off. They're not doing it though. She's too high up. She'll throw a tantrum if they say to her, you got to go off TV. Is she really that high up? She'll be like, I'll call my cousin.
I highly doubt Dwayne Johnson is going to be calling Vince and be like, oh, you have to keep Nia Jax on there.
You just never know. I mean, they're very loyal to each other, that family. So
Rocky Johnson, I don't think so. Rocky Johnson's very loyal to making sure that he is perceived as a star. I mean, like, he didn't even really want to do that run-in at the Royal Rumble in 2015 to help Roman Reigns because he saw the reactions Roman was getting.
I don't know. I just personally think that they're not going to do it with her. I don't. I really, really don't. I think she'll be like, no, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. She's going to throw a hissy fit. If you can't seriously tell me that if they approached her and said, you have to be off TV for a little bit, that she would be comfortable with that. She'll be like, I just got back. They're not doing it. They're not. But they should. They won't, though. I like I said, I hope I'm wrong.
If she loses, what else is there for Nia Jax to do? Take her off the television for a little bit and just let her, revamp at least. You can call it like, okay, we're just gonna give your character time to breathe.
How many times? By the way,
be here at 8:30 tomorrow morning to run some drills. What's so wrong about that?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
She's going to throw a tantrum.
So what if she does? Then she'll just be considered completely unprofessional.
Well, isn't that what she's already? Because
she is unprofessional because if you injure the people you're in the ring performing with, you're unprofessional. Yes, that is true.
So
that is true.
I don't think she really cares if she's unprofessional or not. I think she wants to look like the bad bitch in charge.
Well, she's not.
She thinks she is, though.
She has not been since being there ever, not once. So there's that. Something happened. The list of audio. Oh, hold on. I hope our audio didn't cut out here. No, it doesn't look like it did. Okay, never mind. I think we're okay. Audition just scared the crap out of me. What I'm using to record our audio for the podcast for when we upload to Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. It just came up and said that we lost our. I was like, whoa, what happened here? I don't want to lose our audio. We need to be heard. Otherwise,
we need to be seen. We need to be heard.
Yes, exactly.
We are important.
Grash, why was it Jax's fault in the injury? What hasn't she done to injure people is more of the question you should be asking. What exactly did she do wrong? How about she jacked Kairi Sane into the steps when, number one, they were too close. Kairi Sane didn't have her feet under her, and she just threw her. Like, that's one thing right there. Threw her. Like there's difference between working. Like doing a work throw and actually throwing somebody, and I don't think Jax gets that difference. You can kind of like make the motion to throw somebody, but you don't actually have to toss them. Mm-hmm. Especially when it's like something like the steel steps. Mm-hmm. Kairi Sane obviously was not prepared at that moment because she just got pulled off the apron. She's stumbling. You can actually see she doesn't have her base under her.
Yep.
And she gets, and Nia Jax basically just shoves her into the steps. Yeah, if like she could have hit with her shoulder and that would have been fine. But when you're actually falling, when like a lot of these falls, the reason why they don't get hurt is because it's a controlled fall.
Of course.
Like everybody's playing with it. When they do a dive outside the ring, the performers are doing the flips. Like they can kind of gauge how they're rotating and stuff like that. But when you're just being shoved, it's hard to gain your base under you. And yeah, she screwed up. And it's not just me. A lot of people coming out of the Performance Center, leaking out to the wrestling press, all said that Jax was 100% at fault there. How about Jax lifting Kairi Sane up in April and giving her a buckle bomb that really hurt her very badly, and leading to the buckle bomb being banned?
It's a habit. It's a habit of hers.
It's a trend.
Yeah.
It's a trend.
It is.
It's not just like a one-time accident.
No, this isn't.
It's a trend. This woman recklessly is just dangerous. And I don't know if it's just like the size difference and she's dealing with smaller women and she's actually she's actually a super strong person.
She definitely is.
She's very much in shape in that way.
Oh, she is 100%.
And I don't know. So I don't know if it's like, like the big kid playing with like, baby toys or whatever, but
Lenny and Mice of Men.
Lenny and Mice and Men, but she's not, no mental deficiencies here. It's just kind of like a mental hardness to like not wanting to improve your craft.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't know your own strength.
Yeah. Andrew says Becky Lynch busts her open. Yeah, and maybe like she keeps getting it passed because like they took the Becky Lynch breaking her nose and turned Becky Lynch into a WrestleMania main eventer off of that. Before that, I don't know if Becky Lynch...
It gave her an edge for sure.
It gave her an edge, and it gave you that iconic image of her. Like, I remember her standing at the thing and smiling with the blood-covered face. It was just, what a moment.
What a moment
for her. It was a great moment. But it's like, you can't always do that. Grash, no, we're not. So last week on Raw, Nia Jax pulled Kairi Sane out of the ring and threw her into the steel steps and just gave her a nasty giant gash in her hairline. They stopped the match for about 15 minutes to clean her up, and then they just finished the match after that, and that was the end of that. It's a trend of injuring people.
Yeah,
it really just is.
It is. It's dangerous.
It stinks, and WWE really should do something about it. I remember when Kevin Thorne was dropping people on their heads and they took him off of TV. She hasn't severely hurt anybody. She did give Becky Lynch the concussion and broken nose years ago, but she hasn't severely hurt anybody to the point where they couldn't come back to work, permanently.
Right.
But,
that doesn't mean anything now.
Do we want to wait for that to happen?
No.
Or do we want to take her aside, take her off of television for a little bit and teach her, safer ways to work? Maybe that's not a bad thing. Would be a blow to her ego for sure, but that's the case. Anyway, so that was Raw. Charlotte Flair, Asuka had a good match. I really liked that match with Aleister Black and Carrillo versus Murphy, and Austin Theory.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
the Peep Show segment. Even the tag match with Lashley and MVP and the Viking Raiders, even though it went a little too long for my taste, and I thought Bobby Lashley should have looked a little stronger in it. You know, I still say that's pretty good. So, and overall, it's not a huge thumbs up. It's not a big thumbs up, but it's still a thumbs up.
You know why I'm giving a thumbs up,
Okay.
and because this might just be because I haven't given a thumbs up in a really, really long time.
And we also want to ask the chat room, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down for Raw?
And I did not completely hate Raw tonight. You know what I mean? That third hour, once again, is always kind of, rough, but at the same time, that decathlon really got me tonight.
Yeah, the decathlon too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's that.
Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, so we're both giving a thumbs up. What say the chat room? Grash said Doug made an interesting point that this isn't the first time Kyrie has been injured. Yeah, but I mean, she had a concussion at the TLC show in December. Yeah, I don't know if that really makes her injury prone. I still think that if you take a buckle bomb and the person just throws you into the corner and you bounce your head off the bottom turnbuckle, not really her fault.
That's a good point, but there's also
it's an interesting point, but it's
kind of mute in the situation though.
It's moot
because I just feel like Nia Jax again. She has equally just as much. If not more.
Well, if Kairi Sane's only being injured in matches with Nia Jax and matches with weapons, it's kind of hard to say that she's injury prone rather than just like you're in a TLC match and you got a concussion. That's tough nuggets.
Yeah.
That's kind of that is the risk in that match.
Right.
When you have weapons that somebody could get hurt. But in a standard wrestling match where it is a squash match, you should still be taking care of the of your opponent, of your other fellow performers.
Yep.
At the end of the day, they're just performing. They're not actually fighting. So I get on TV, you want to make it look snug and this and that, but
people's lives are at stake.
It's you don't need to hurt them.
No.
Machine Walls gives a surprising thumbs up.
I agree, Machine.
Andrew Elder, no hate, but still down for me. Thumbs
it's okay.
down. Billy Hefner up a bit. And I'm still waiting to hear from other people here. But yeah, so it's a mixed response. And let me check the Twitter at the end of the day. What did everybody say about it? I am kind of curious. I hope. Yeah, and somebody tell Daniel Shell to get back on this damn show. Like, where the hell's he been?
I don't know.
Little rat.
Maybe he's not watching wrestling.
Quentin Walters, thumbs up. Barely. Wow.
Barely.
Wow. If Quentin's giving you a thumbs up, that's pretty good. 56% thumbs down. So maybe people are watching and they're thinking about it. Yeah. So that's it. So that's Raw. We'll be back this weekend with Wrestleview Live after Backlash is over. Backlash currently has only 7 matches, and I'm thinking TLC only went 2.5 hours, which is great.
So it could very well be just the norm for now.
Yeah. I'm really hoping. And TakeOver last night was 2.5 hours. Like, I think 2.5 hours on these empty shows
works for me.
That's the sweet spot. So hopefully
Isn't it amazing how a pay-per-view is shorter, though, than Raw?
Than Raw. Yeah, and Raw consistently kind of stinks. It's like, it's too much. We're too much.
Like, listen.
Let's go. All right, everybody. On that note, we're going to take off. We'll be back next week for Post Raw number 85. Andrew Elder, I think Daniel's doing NASCAR. Okay, he's doing that online racing. Sweet. Good for him. That sounds like a lot of fun. Better than watching wrestling at this point. I'm Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Bye.